So as you are determining your learning objectives, what you need to do is review the methods and write your objectives in accordance with these methods. Obviously, remember your basic adult learning principles and those 12 principles that Bella talked about that you have referred to in the past session. Sequence your learning objectives in terms of how they will be done and how soon and what type of levels of learning that they will be at, and what is the best learning activity. Is it reading? Is it doing? Is it listening? So, and we'll be talking in more detail or greater depth regarding this particular process. And depending on the method, depending on the approach, sometimes it will vary based on and we'll talk about this too in terms of the type of learning and how people learn best in terms of which methods will work and which methods won't work best in terms of their learning processes. Okay, you should consider learning styles and personality. People's learning styles greatly affect what type of training they will find easiest and most effective. Looking at personality types is also important in terms of what kind of an individual or individuals that you're working with. And remember, you're dealing with people, not objects. People have feelings as well as skills and knowledge. So you need to be able to put all of these pieces together. And it's a very important consideration in the training process of ideas and outlining training. Are your learners visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? In other words, do they need to see and read? Do they learn best by visually seeing what's going on in terms of what's happening through observation and reading the literature and reading information? Do they learn best by listening to what you're saying or what the trainer may be saying or speaking and engaging that type of learning process? Or do they need to touch or do? Are they kinesthetic? Do they learn best in utilizing their psychomotor skills? This will help you determine the kinds of training approach that you need to apply, whether it's lecture, whether it's application, whether it's observations, or when you're in a big classroom or in a large setting with multiple individuals, you need to do a combination of efforts with respect to those differences in terms of that learning style. Personality types or personality styles is significant as well and very important. Jung's 8 psychological types is often used with respect to management training and looking at how people think, feel, their sensations, and intuition in terms of these different types. Are you an extroverted thinker, analytical, strategic, planning, implementing, organizing others? Are you working with an individual who is an introverted thinker, contemplative, discovering, theoretical, seeks self-knowledge? Or extroverted feeling, sociable, sentimental, seeks personal and social success, or introverted feeling, inaccessible, enigmatic, self-contained, seeks inner intensity, or extroverted sensation, being practical, hands-on, pleasure-seeking, hard-headed, or introverted, intense, obsessive, detached, expert. These are some characteristics. And in the last set of intuition, extroverted or introverted, the extroverted individual would be more adventurous, innovative, seeking novelty, proposing changes, or the introverted person might be more idealistic, visionary, mystical, or aloof. Okay? This is important as you're designing training. So as you make your assessment and agree on your training needs, and prioritize your training, as you've created the training and decided what the developmental specifications are, You need to be able to consider the learning styles and the personality types of your audience. And that also, will help you, in your actual implementation of training. Looking at Kolb's learning styles, for example, is a good approach. And learning styles is something that began in the 1970s in looking at and evolving educational methods. And Kolb is one of a very significant individual who based his model on experiential learning theory, explained in his book, Experiential Learning Experiences as a Source of Learning and Development, that he wrote in 1984. And in his model, he talks about, as you can see here, concrete experience and abstract conceptualization, as well as two related approaches in terms of transforming experience with reflective observation and active experimentation. And according to his model, the ideal learning process engages all four types of modes in response to situational demands. And we learn effectively if we apply four of these approaches, and these are put together. And our learning styles could be a combination of preferred approaches as either being a converger characterized by abstract conceptualization and active experimentation, good in the practical application of ideas and using deductive reasoning, or divergers who tend to concrete experiences and reflective observations and imaginative and good at coming up with ideas and seeing things, and assimilators who are characterized as abstract conceptualizers and reflective observation, capable of creating theoretical models and means of inductive reasoning, and accommodators. They're good at actively engaging with the world and actually doing things instead of merely reading and studying them. So how do you put this together? And what does it mean? Well, it means that you need to understand your audience in terms of where they're at. It's used in management development, and it's good for you to understand where you're at, as a learner, and where your team is coming from. And as you work with your team, you can move forward in terms of understanding how to engage in different kinds of ideas. Other theories that I haven't talked about, there's the Gregoric model and others in terms of Sternberg with respect to thinking styles as well. Whatever you do, focus on people. Obtain staff's point of view, get their buy-in, find out what it is that they want, provide learning and experiences for personal interest, development, and fulfillment. It needs to be important and relevant to them. All right, remember what Bella talks about in terms of the needs assessment, and people need to see the relevancy of what's going on. Performance and capability are dependent on attitude and emotional maturity, and help staff to achieve what they want, not what you want, what they want. If they have buy-in, the learning becomes more effective. Provide trust, emotional contracting for skills, process, knowledge development to higher responsibilities, and role in teams. Okay? Again, I can't help but emphasize, focus on people.